we have Japneet Singh Sethi, iGaming advisor, global market. So, Japneet, thank you for joining us here at
Thank you.
Sigma Asia 2026.
Thank you so much.
Let's start with our first question related to new market. How do you evaluate whether a new market is ready for entry by an iGaming brand?
Um, it's a very interesting question. What I do is the first thing to notice is about the payments. Is the market ready to move the payments? Because for a brand, especially in Asia, if you're not if you're not able to move the money in and out of the market, then it doesn't make sense for your product to enter the market, right? Then the second thing which comes to my mind right now is I would look at the mobile penetration and the data costs, right? If you have a product, but your product is not able to run in a $3 data plan, then it doesn't make sense for you. You don't have a product right now, right? And then it comes to the regulation for me. Regulation, I would look at the markets which is moving towards a regulation, probably a gray market, is still relatively new, versus moving into a market which is already moving towards a ban. I wouldn't put my money into it, right? So these are the top three things that I would look into when I'm planning to evaluate any market. Whether it's in Asia, it's any other part of the globe. That is how I would approach these regions. Yeah.
Wonderfully said. Now let's talk about PROGA 2025.
Yeah.
How do you see India's promotion and regulation of Online Gaming Act, PROGA 2025, reshaping the industry?
It was really interesting. Um, I think, in my opinion, it's more like a wake up call for the operators who thought that being operating in a gray market would make them access the market for a long time, right? And then the PROGA happened. I think what India is doing right now is it's accepting the gaming ecosystem. It's owning it, and PROGA is the first step towards the future. Um, I would say if a brand wants to enter the market in India, it should already start working on the rails and on the infrastructure for the future, right? Because if you miss this window, you cannot make it into the future. The brands who know this, they're already making the move, they're already setting up, and they're already building the right payment trails, the infrastructure, the relevant formations in the region, and that's how it will be able to do it. As far as the PROGA goes, for the region, I think this sets a precedent for the upcoming iGaming markets, because how India behaves right now, that will shape the future of that has the potential to shape the future for Asia and especially Southeast Asia. That's how I see it.
I'm glad that you gave us analysis before and now and in the future as well. So now I'd like to touch upon compliance and innovation.
Yeah.
How should operators balance compliance with innovation in highly regulated environments?
Um, I would say balance wouldn't be the right framing for it, right? Because compliance and innovation, they're not the opposite sides. They're not pulling against each other, right? I would say the operators who are treating compliance as a legal structure, they're wrong, right? But the good ones, the ones who understand it, the ones who treat compliance and innovation as a product development, as a product fit, these are the ones who are already making success in the markets, right? If you have a product, and if the user doesn't notice the compliance options in the product, for example, if the user is not noticing the KYCs, he's not noticing the gambling, responsible gambling notifications, right? He's not noticing how the money comes in and goes out. That is what success looks like. So it's not, when you're trying to innovate, you can still innovate within the boundaries of the compliance, and you can still make it when the user you can still make it how um, as per the ease and convenience of the users. It should be the right product UI UX. That's how I would put it across. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that great analysis and insights once
Thank you.
again. Now, about the future of iGaming, what are the most promising technologies shaping the future of iGaming?
Uh, I think most of them would say AI, but I don't think that's the future. The future is the payments, right? That's the most easiest question for me right now. Um, you have an operator, you have a brand, you have a business, but the main business for an operator is always the money, right? It's a simple one. It's an easier one. If you're trying to move the money in and out of the market, that's when your business gets a success. As far as the product fit goes, I would say the behavioral AI, right? That could be the future. If you can fit it into the regulated environments, if you can show the government that the behavioral AI would predict before the gambling addiction kicks in, right? You can predict that the player could have a gambling addiction in the future. You can still restrict him in the very beginning, right? That's how the behavioral AI would work in the future, not just for an acquisition or for retention, but also in the favor of the users, also in the favor of the regulations. And yeah, I think these two are the most important parts. Business wise, I would say payments, and product wise, I would say the behavioral AI is the future.
It's nice to know about AI not as a threat, but more the
Yeah,
benefits of it as well. So
yeah,
thank you
yeah.
very much,
Thank you.
Japneet Singh Sethi, iGaming Advisor, Global Markets. So thanks again.
Thank you.